The first story was originally posted by a Redditor called wild_initiative_422. Now their story is called Creepy Encounter on Bike Trail That Still Gets to Me. Okay, so this happened when I was 21. I'm female. I'm currently 27. Now back then I believe that I made a rookie mistake, but I've since learned my lesson and I've taken precautions so that this doesn't happen again. I'm an avid mountain biker. Ever since I was about 13, 14, I've always loved riding on the trails. It was good exercise, but I mostly like to just listen to music and pedal. Never tried to time myself on a particular trail or anything. All I really did was keep track of my miles. So I remember this one day in particular. It may sound a tad bit far-fetched, so I welcome skepticism with open arms. I'm simply trying to get this off my chest, and hopefully it's a wake-up call for anyone that was as trusting as I was. So I decided to go on a day ride at this one spot. I'd been there before, but it wasn't one of my go-to trails, so I wasn't super familiar with it. I was familiar enough with it though to where I would be okay going down the trails I had done in the past. So upon getting there, I was getting my pack ready. I met this one girl that was doing the same. We started talking and we hit it off pretty well. At the time, she honestly seemed like someone I could be friends with. She introduced me to her boyfriend, who was also a mountain biker. Once again, no red flags. Very friendly. They seemed to have a healthy relationship. Now they both seemed to be about my age, give or take. They asked me if I wanted to take a ride with them down their favourite trail. I didn't see any harm in it at the time. Plus, I wanted to get to know the area better for potential future rides. So the trail was one that I had never been on before. The two of them were also faster than me. Like, a lot faster. I never backed down from a challenge. I kept up, albeit probably being about 10 feet behind them the whole time. We stopped briefly to take a water break, and I noticed that the girl had strategically left her backpack open. Like, she closed it, but then opened it back up a little bit. It seemed harmless then, but it makes more sense now. Without any sort of warning, and while I was taking a pee break in the trees, the two of them started laughing and took off. Now I was in a compromising position, so I had to hurry up and conclude my business to be able to catch them. By the time I made it back to my bike, they were both completely out of sight. Not to mention, both of my tires had been slashed. I was stranded. I sat down for about 10 minutes to decide what I was going to do. The sun was at peak capacity and I remember feeling extremely lightheaded, though I'm pretty sure that that was related to shock. I grabbed my bike and started walking down the trail. After about 15 minutes of walking, I came across a wire on the trail. It was tied onto two stay safe, everyone, and don't always trust a pretty face. Honestly, guys, this story is so infuriating. Like, those two, that couple, is just pure evil. The only reason for them to do what they did is their own enjoyment in abandoning the Redditor, leaving her there to her own devices, knowing full well that she didn't know the area, slashing her tires in the process. Like, the only reason for them to do that is because they enjoy causing trouble, and that's putting it mildly. Like, you know, they enjoy making somebody else miserable. Obviously, I don't know if they also put the wire there, but that is incredibly dangerous, and that actually could, like, take your head right off, right? That is really serious. Obviously, I can't tell whether they did that or not, but the fact that they went down that track and the wire was still there when the Redditor got there kind of maybe suggests that, well, either they saw it, they avoided it, and they ignored it, or they put it up themselves. And I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest with you, because like I said, the fact that they do all that shit just to make somebody miserable makes them evil. Wow. I think this is definitely a good cautionary tale. Like, don't just trust anyone because they come across as trustworthy. I mean, if it's someone you don't know, it's a complete stranger, it's a good idea to always be on your guard. I'm glad the Redditor is safe though, and she said she did learn from this encounter, and she has taken all the necessary precautions to make sure that this doesn't happen again in the future. So that's good. I really hope that if this couple tried this to somebody else, that they went to the police about it, because, you know, they need to be stopped. Wow. I will never understand the way some people think. I mean, just this weekend, I read a headline in, online newspaper about a tourist in Mallorca who had literally shat on another tourist's head while he was sleeping on a bench. Like, what are those people doing? Like, what goes through your mind to think that that's a good idea? Like, are you not embarrassed? Like, what the hell? And here's the kicker, like, his friends filmed it and threw it on the internet, because obviously that is why everyone knows about it now. It's just absolutely wild to me, and to me, if you do that, that thought comes in your head, you think, oh, that's a really good idea, it's going to be really funny, like, you're just pure evil. Wow. The world that we live in, right? Alrighty, so the next story was originally posted by a Redditor called Plaid-skirts, and their story is called Creepy Encounter While Babysitting. Alright, I am 21 female, a college babysitting since I was 14. I'm not an expert on literally anything. However, over the years I've learned caution and resilience. See, that is a good thing to have learned. At age 15 I took babysitting classes at our youth centre as well as a female self-defence course. So I babysit at least once a month for this one family. I like them because they pay me more than my usual hourly rate. They have a big house with internet that I can use to do homework, and the 2 kids are surprisingly well behaved and compliant. So the parents have like a monthly ritual of going out around 5 p.m. and returning a little after 2 a.m. I'm always offered to sleep in the guest bedroom and stay until the morning. I usually just stay awake and abuse their satellite TV and then leave when they come back. The house is in a nice neighbourhood without a whole lot of neighbours, very quiet. Also, the house is armed with an alarm system that I have the code to and can arm and disarm through my phone. That'll be relevant in a little while. So I always take them for pizza at this place that has an arcade. I do this so that the kids tire themselves out and they go to bed early. Plus, the little girl that I babysit is also on a mission to win a family of stuffed animals from the prize store. So I would be the world's worst babysitter if I didn't guide her in that pursuit. If anyone is wondering for whatever reason after Friday night, she only needs the daddy stuffed animal before her collection is complete. You go, girl. What does that look like? The daddy stuffed animal. I should take my mind out of the gutter and carry on. I'm sorry. Anywho, I'm rambling. I was sitting at a table and watching them play in a ball pit while also texting on my phone. This couple came over and sat at the same table as me. It was a long table with parents scattered here and there, so this wasn't necessarily alarming. The couple looked normal enough. Both were probably in their mid-20s, possibly a little bit older. They talked to each other, but then the guy asked me, "Are you the one babysitting Dr. So-and-so's kids?" So the parents of these children are both doctors, and the specific region that we live in, this would be common enough information, but I still chose to answer their question with an irrelevant statement. I wonder what they use to make pizza here. That is awesome. Yeah, I know, I'm a master of deception. I deserve an Oscar for my performance. However, they seem to see right through my clever ruse. They started making weird comments. They talked about the kids' parents. They commented on the daughter and how they wondered if she would look as pretty as their mum. Okay, my dudes, I don't know if that was intended to be creepy, but I'm just gonna be safe and pretend that it was. Then the woman says to me, and I quote, "Do they really let you dress like that while watching their kids?" She motioned with sets of footsteps walking up the stairs. Good job, girl. You locked yourself inside with 2 potential assailants. I was holding it together for the sake of the kids, but not too deep inside. I was scared to death. When I heard the footsteps get near the door and saw the knob twisting, I took a deep breath and pulled the trigger on my taser just to let them know that I was armed, though it realistically wouldn't do much good. I informed them through the door that the alarm was triggered and police were on their way. Thankfully, I was greeted by a familiar voice. "Hi Redditor, it's Dr. Blank. You're safe." I opened the door and ran into their arms and started sobbing. I hadn't realised truly until it was over just how scared I really was. The kids came out without me giving them the okay, but their parents were there, so I'll let it slide. When I enabled the alarm on my phone, they both got the notification from the place they were at. With the app, you have the option to view the porch cameras as well. When they got the notification that the panic button was activated, they saw through the camera that there were people on either side of the house, 1 man, 1 woman. When the alarm kept disarming, that was them trying to get into the house. I think the Redditor means by them, the parents, like the alarm kept disabling because the parents were trying to get into the house. Okay, so a police report was filed by the parents and I gave a statement mentioning the 2 weirdos I met earlier that day, even though there really was no evidence that would directly point to them. Camera footage didn't give any positive face IDs either. So yeah, I was scared. I'm getting over it now. I'm just grateful that the couple that I was babysitting for were close enough to make it to me in time. I hate to say it, but I find the police response time to be terrible. I'm currently back in my own apartment, an hour away. I checked in once to see how the kids were doing and they're holding up fine. I'm just glad they had proper protection in their home and that this didn't end up to be any worse. Firstly, this Redditor is an incredibly good writer, like, that is clear. She uses a lot of humour in this story, and I think that maybe because of all the humour used, you don't quite realise how bad the situation is, right? Because she is babysitting 2 kids in an unfamiliar house, and somebody is trying to get in. Like, that must be terrifying. That must be absolutely terrifying. And I also agree that the police response time is not the best if the parents get there before the police even do, when the alarm button is pressed. Wow, I'm just so glad that they didn't manage to get in, because if they had, I mean, if you are determined to get into somebody else's house, and you know they're not home, and you know the kids are there, and a young baby safe, even when walking around after dark, so we've never been guarded or felt afraid. Now, one night during our walk at around 8:30 p.m, a woman coming towards us began arguing with the man she was walking with. It was a pretty heated argument, but something about it felt like they were putting on a show for us. The street we do our nightly walks on has a slight incline, so we could see them coming downhill towards us. I actually noticed her from a little over a block away because her outfit looked familiar to me. A few months before this happened, a woman wearing a pink fake fur jacket with one of her shoulders exposed and a tank top kept trying to jokingly take my husband's pizza box away from him when we were waiting to cross the street, saying, "Oh my god, thank you, I'm starving." So when I saw this woman up the street coming towards us wearing a similar style of jacket, also with one of her shoulders exposed, the first thing I thought was, I wonder if it's the same one that tried to take our pizza. As soon as they reached us, they went from completely quiet to screaming at each other. It was like they hit their marks on the stage and someone yelled action and they began their rehearsed fight. They were so loud I could see people on the other side of the street looking over at them, so I thought if they had been arguing like this all along, we definitely would have heard them long before we saw them. The two of them also switched the direction they were walking in. Originally they were walking towards us, but as soon as they reached us and began arguing, they turned around and walked alongside us. They also boxed us in, the woman walking slightly in front of us to the left of my husband, and the guy yelling at her from behind me to my right. I could tell my husband was freaked out too, because he had a vice grip on my hand. "Get away from me, Josh." Josh again. Didn't we just have Josh last week? I mean, Josh is a very, very busy man. Anyways, "Get away from me, Josh," the woman screamed. "We broke up. God, leave me alone." "Why are you like this, always starting shit in public?" the man yelled. They kept pace with us. I tried walking faster to get away from them, but they sped up too. When we reached the intersection, even though we had the light, I pulled on my husband to stop for a bit, just to see what would happen. They both stopped as well. They clearly weren't anticipating the stop, because they actually continued walking a bit more and then stopped suddenly when they realized we were standing still. The funny thing is that as soon as we all stopped, I saw a brief look of confusion flash over her face, and they stood at the corner for a few seconds, staring at each other completely quiet, like they weren't sure what was going on. And then, like they had heard someone yell action, resumed yelling at each other. On top of all that, the man who was with her wore an outfit that was head to toe dark colours, like black and navy blue, a hoodie pulled down almost to his eyes, and one of those gumbo neck face mask things pulled up past his nose. He was basically dressed like a ninja in 60-degree Fahrenheit weather. Now this was in COVID times, but that outfit was overkill. He definitely looked like he was trying to hide his face. I did consider that maybe she was walking alongside us because she was genuinely scared. It was the reason I didn't just leave and pull my husband away with me. She'd call out to us every now and then and say, "You see what I put up with? He won't leave me alone." "Hey," I said after this happened a few times, "come with us to XX Avenue." Obviously not the real name. was walking through well-populated residential neighborhoods, and we could wait in a store together while she called for a police officer to escort her to her friend's place. But she actually said, "Yeah, but that's in the opposite direction of where I live, and that's just really inconvenient for me. I'd end up having to walk so much." Now, who picks convenience over not getting potentially kidnapped and killed? Also, if you knew your creepy psycho ninja boyfriend was going to be waiting for you outside your home to harass you, why would you go home instead of staying with a friend? She also kept telling us her address. "I just need you to walk me to my building, number 12 to 34 on YY Avenue, apartment 3B or something." Like she was trying to reassure us that we really would be escorting her to a real place, and that this definitely was not a plan to rob us or harvest our organs. After several times of us offering to walk her to a restaurant or 24-hour drugstore, she finally said she was calling her mother to get her, pulled out her cell phone, and quickly walked away from us. "Hey, we'll wait here until your mum picks you up," my husband called out after her. She didn't answer but started running instead. That's not a red flag. We watched her until she turned a corner and disappeared. I know it sounds crazy, but even after that, I still wasn't completely convinced it was fake. I still felt guilty. Maybe she needed our help and we let her down. Maybe she was following us because she felt safer around a couple. Maybe they didn't really box us in. Maybe she just put us between her and her boyfriend so he couldn't grab her. After we arrived home, and for a few days afterwards, my husband and I really struggled with whether we had just left a poor woman alone to contend with an abusive stalker boyfriend. But the way she and the man she was arguing with acted suggested a scam more than someone trying to get away from an abusive partner. She was more concerned with convenience than safety. She wouldn't take our offer to accompany her to a safer, more populated path to a public place, and she didn't even want us to wait with her while she called her mother. Plus, the guy's outfit was really suspicious. It seemed like he wanted to be short. None of his features were visible. Now, pretty much all of my friends thought it was a scam too, but I still wondered. I still felt bad. Like a lot of people who post on this subreddit have been made to feel unsafe by creepy people in the past. So if I see someone in a similar situation, if I can, I want to help get them to safety. But at the same time, I think it's important to remember that not everyone who appears to be a victim actually is one. Some people may try to take advantage of your kindness and empathy to steal from you, or worse. I think this is also a very good cautionary tale. I understand that the Redditor is concerned about this woman and, what if she was really in danger? What if she was really asking for our help? But let me tell you this, if your gut is telling you that something is off about the situation, trust your gut. By all means, help people when you can, right? If you are able and if they need it, by all means help people. But never, ever, ever sacrifice your own safety to help a stranger who you think is in trouble or is making it seem like they are in trouble. Because honestly, listening to this story or reading it, in my case, it's just one red flag after the next. Like the fact that it seemed like the fight was acted. The fact basically because they were probably gonna try and rob the Redditor and her husband. That is my guess. And she didn't actually phone her mum at all. She probably phoned Ninja Guy to let him know that it wasn't gonna work or something like that. That is my guess. I mean, I think it's very important to talk about these things so that you guys know that it happens. You guys know what to look out for, and you guys can stay safe out there. Alrighty. Sadly,